guys like the spa music? Hi.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh wait, now it's not. Oh gosh. I'm so sorry. All the technical difficulties going on today.
Wow, there's a lot of crazy things happening in the sky right now, so that doesn't surprise me at
Is
all.
that what's happening? Okay, perfect. I have my laptop here because I have like my notes and stuff. But hi, Jenny. How are you?
Hi, Gabby.
Can you guys hear me? I would try to I wanted to make it like your office and your healing sessions with the meditation music in the background.
I don't know how you did the little sparkles all around yourself, but that's pretty fun.
I got it. Oh, well, you don't need it. I need it. I could use it. But I'll send it to you next time. It's a little filter. But, hi, how are you? I got my water since it's too early for wine. And you said it doesn't go with the energies right now, right?
Yeah, I just finished teaching a Seraphim Blueprint class, a level 1, which was an amazing group of women on that class. But yes, it's a lot of really, really high intensity, high vibrational attunements coming in over the weekend. So I always warn the girls too, like if you're going to have your evening glass of wine, just be cautious because you never know how your body's going to respond after getting pumped full of light. So yes, I'll be sipping my water as well.
Yes, I want to shout out Soji Energy because this is a water bottle with a clear quartz crystal.
Oh yeah, those things are awesome.
I love it. Thank you. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm sorry, I don't know how much time we have, but it's craziness with the energy going on. But I wanted to say thank you for coming on, and I'm so excited to hear what you have to say because you have so much wisdom, and just meeting you this year and working with you has truly changed my life, and I am excited to hear what you have to say and inspire us for the new year, what we could expect. So let me know.
Well, I think that the great conjunction that we have coming in tomorrow, I mean, this from an astrological perspective, that when we have events like this, it's never like, yeah, we have like a peak, an energy peak that comes in, but we start building the energy of whatever that astrological event is, like leading up to it. So we already start to feel the effects of it before it really peaks in. And the same goes for moon cycles and, and all of that. Yeah. We call it the pre-shadow and post-shadow phases of those energies. So, I mean, there's lots of buzz around, what's coming in tomorrow with the Great Conjunction. And I was reading an article yesterday that very much validated a lot of the information that had been coming in from Spirit. I had a friend of mine who's an artist reach out, and he was sharing some of the new pieces that he had created. His name's Will Day, if anybody's interested in checking out his stuff. But he started doing this new series of art called the Hope series, and then all of a sudden over the last week or so his color palette shifted. He started putting more black and like all of these amazing backgrounds behind the pop of the more pastel colors, and he was like, I don't know why, but I'm starting to connect with like the Renaissance artists. And so he sent me that text to share some of his new work, and then that same day I was reading an article about the Great Conjunction, and it was talking about the timing of when we had these planets aligned the last time.
It was during
and they said that it was like in the 1400s time period, like sometime around then. It was the Renaissance. It was the Renaissance that was the last time that we had this Great Conjunction energy coming in the way that it is tomorrow. And, of course, lots of people have been talking about the Star of Bethlehem, and, that this potentially was the Great Conjunction when it was the birth of Christ and the three wise men that saw the star, that, and it's said that those three wise men potentially could have been astrologers, and that they understood the impact of a child being born on a conjunction like that. And, me being the person that I am, that like I tap into the astrology, I tap into the numerology, I tap into all of those metaphysical things.
And history. I love history too. So just like incorporating all of that together and seeing.
Yes, and how it's happened on their timeline and other big events, and, the shift of humanity And the Renaissance period was the period that followed the Middle Ages, you know, and when we had the dark ages, so to speak. So coming out of those Middle Ages into a place of awakening on all levels. And I'm a huge Jim Henson nerd. I absolutely have always loved Jim Henson since I was a kid, and Frank Oz and all of the characters and things that they create. And one of the movies that was my absolute favorite growing up was a movie called The Dark Crystal. Have you ever seen The Dark Crystal?
No.
Now you're going to have to watch it, because
Okay.
the whole premise of that movie is about the Great Conjunction, and that there was this land where at the heart of the land was a crystal castle. And there were these beings that lived in the crystal castle. Yes, Erica,
I know.
I feel you. That's what I'm talking about. So at the heart of the crystal castle was the heart of the land was this giant crystal shard, and that the beings that were inside the castles were the keepers of the crystal, and they were the keepers of the land. And a great conjunction came and caused chaos amongst those beings, and they started fighting amongst themselves, and they actually cracked the crystal. And the prophecy said, and when the crystal cracked, the beings split in two. They split into a light being and a dark being.
Mm.
And the dark beings took over the land, and they stayed in the castle. And the beings of light and peace and love moved off, you know, into the desert. And the prophecy said that the chosen one would come forward during the next great conjunction. The crystal would be healed, and the two beings would be reunited, unified, and the land would be healed. And so I started thinking about this a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh my God, holy crap.
Yes.
It's
Because
totally
you
prophesied.
and Erica spoke about that, like the black and the white and the unity and the good and the dark coming together and unifying and creating this new energy for the what do they call it? The new world, the new age,
New Earth.
Aquarius,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I, you know, in that moment of like my brain exploding and my nerdiness of loving Jim Henson so much, I texted Charlene Lawrence, my astrology girl, and I was like, oh my God, please tell me you've seen this movie so you can relate to what I'm talking about, because this is what's coming, you know.
Yeah.
And this is where we've been moving into this concept of unification. And I think that the big difference about, so there's been some other things too, like, you know, this is a shout out to Phil Good. He was doing a talk about what it means to become unified as a fully awake being versus unifying inside of myopic codependent behavior. There's a big difference. And we're starting to see this change where there is this divide happening, right? It's like we see this greater and greater division occurring
Yes.
between, and even inside of our own lives, where we start to really see like these relationships are not working for me anymore. This job isn't working for me anymore. Like it is so clear that it's actually become painful. And we have to do something about it. We've got to move away from those things, and we become very much grounded in where we are right now, which is like, okay, clearly I need to surround myself with more conscious people,
Yeah.
because this is where I'm moving.
Our soul tribe.
And we can't be around people that aren't vibrating with us anymore. It is this great division of the polarities.
Yes.
And the way I think about it is like, you know, the principles of energy, where it's, you go into, eventually you're going into these great states of resistance. Eventually it's going to spring back. You know, it's like pulling on a rubber band.
Yes.
You're pulling on the rubber band from both sides. You're pulling back, you're pulling back, you're pulling back. Eventually there's going to be a collision back into the center. And so this is what I've been feeling. I've been feeling like we've been going in this direction. We're pulling ourselves into really uncomfortable end realms of polarity, so we can all come crashing back into the middle. And, you know, I hate to say that it would have to be that an awakening would have to be that violent of a collision,
Yes.
but I do feel that the awakening of humanity as a whole, there's like the 1% of us, right? Let's say there's like 1 to 5% of the world that has moved into their soul purpose and is moving with that spiritual wave. Like it's like driving west, into new, like pioneering into new ways of being, new places of living. And we're the first caravan out, we're the first wave out, and then creating a path for others to follow.
Yeah.
um there have been those of us who have been awake and trying to hold the light and move the charge forward. But there's got to come a time when this then becomes the collective, right? Where it's not just 1% or 5%. It
Yeah.
is everyone. And so I do think we've reached a place where we need some sort of violent collision into unity. And so we don't really know what's coming. I think I've had so many people saying, like, well, what do you see coming? What do you think? And it really is, I think the visions that come from spirit are very symbolic, but they're quite cryptic. It's like
Yeah.
we're only allowed to see so far ahead.
Yeah.
We're not really allowed to get too far ahead of ourselves at this point. We really do need to be inside of our bodies. We need to be inside the moment.
Yeah.
We need to be confronting whatever this constant shadow work that's been coming into play through our eclipse season.
Yes. Which I feel like
And
most people don't do the shadow work, and that's why we're in the predicament we're in. But I feel like that's why I want to use my platform in a way to inspire people to how can we, raise our vibration? How can we become more enlightened? How can we, yeah, and like how we can become more intuitive, so that we do get the messages more clearly. But it's really about doing the shadow work and the healing work, and it, like, how
it
as
is, you
cliche and
can't
corny as
you
it's.
can't pop up without it.
Excuse me.
I said you can't pop up to those higher realms without it. You have to
Exactly.
do the shadow work.
Yeah, and it actually, like, as cliche and corny as it sounds, it will make the world a better place. As if every person is their happiest and they're living within their life purpose, and I'll have you come back on because I want to talk about soul contracts and all of that, and following, not today, we'll reschedule, but yeah, just being within your life purpose, you're going to be the best version of yourself, and you'll inspire others to do the same, and the world will just be happy and beautiful and rainbows and butterflies and all of that.
Well, that's what we're all hoping for, right? We get there at some point. But I do think that where people miss the point of the spiritual work is not just to feel all the feels of the rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah.
You have to go into your depths. You've got to go into those places, the challenges and contracts that you came in with as a soul that said, in order to grow, you're going to go into this really uncomfortable place
Yes.
so you can see the world in a new way. And, I've said this in other conversations where, I do feel like there are times where the struggle is the only thing that makes us look up. It's like when you drop to your knees, when life brings you to your knees, then you look up.
Yeah, that's the only way.
And we've become this culture of drones, of like people walking around glued to our phones with our heads down, not even seeing each other. And so we had to reach this really great divide in order to start that process of moving back toward one another. But I think the biggest shift that I'm feeling in my body is I felt the balance go in a different direction. So like the last few weeks has been really angsty. And all of a sudden I've started to feel things shift a little bit into a little bit more of a flow, a little bit more of an excitement, a little bit more of that feeling of anticipation of what's coming. And I think that too, like going back to the thought pattern of division between dark and light, right? And this is inside of ourselves as well. And understanding that you can't have one without the other, that both play a very important role in our awakening and our evolution process. And that we can't have compassion for another person's pain unless we've experienced it ourselves.
Yeah, the
And so
dark night of the soul that you guys put.
exactly. And so the earth is going through its collective dark night of the soul right now, which is why we're all being driven into the shadow to look at those places where ultimately the fabric of humanity is the same. Where our needs are the same, our basic needs to feel valued, to deserve, to love, to grow, to create, those things are common in all of us. And the pain and pleasure that we experience inside of that relationship is also the same. How we get there might be different. And that's the difference between where we've been and what's coming. You
Yes.
know, it's like we're starting to move into 2021, this vibration of the five, which is about the search for truth and the expression of that truth. And some of that expression is a bit rebellious because we're breaking out of molds, we're breaking glass ceilings, we're doing things in new way. And the unification, the difference in that is that we can see each other. It We can see each other in the fact of like, I know you're hurting and I've been there. And I
Yes.
wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but you can also, being on the other side of it, you understand the gifts
Yeah.
that
And
are
then if you're an
inside of that
empath,
darkness.
you feel it on a whole nother level, you know, and it's just, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Oh no.
And so, yeah, it is. And it's about, you know, they talk about the 5D as being in touch with your God self. That's the age of the Aquarius, right? It's the search for the bigger truth, the
Mm-hmm.
connection of head and heart, not being all in the heart, not being all in the head. It's the combination of both of those gifts. And it allows us to see another person as being the same as us, but understanding that their journey is different, and we can respect and have compassion for that, and be in harmony with two ideas. No longer is the way you do things threatening the way that I do things.
Yes.
It's complete acceptance and respect of another person's journey, and without codependence. Like, that's what codependence is. It's about not letting somebody else feel their feelings, take their journey. It's like, no, come do it my way. And if you don't know how to do it my way, then I'll just load you on my back and I'll take you with me. We don't grow that way.
Mm-hmm.
We stunt our growth that way.
Yes.
And so this is what we're seeing too inside of our relationships. It's like last year around this time, I started to get this vision that came in of us being on a mountainside and climbing the mountain towards our enlightenment, and realizing, becoming very, very clear on how many people we were carrying up the mountain, how many people were on our backs, or how many
Mm-hmm.
people were we dragging up behind us, and that it was time to put them down. Even if it meant them tumbling back down the mountain a bit, we had to do it because it was time to let them make their own climb.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became about looking to see who was parallel with you, who was to your right, who was to your left, who's doing their own climb,
The
but
work.
they're close enough for you to have that connection with them where if you lose your footing, they can stick out their hand to help you get your foothold again.
Yes.
And then you both keep doing your climb.
Yes.
And so we now have been able to really clearly see who or what in our lives needs to be untethered from us, that
Yes.
we've got to let it go, and we've got to look to the people who are doing their own climb and supporting one another collectively in that way. And I feel like we're there now. Like it's no more the build. We're like right in smack in the middle of that. Where everybody's climbing on the mountain now. Some people might be kicking and screaming the whole way,
Yeah. Do
but
what you got
we're,
to do
we're
as long
going
as
towards
you're
the
ascending.
mountain.
Do the
Mm-hmm.
work. And I think, yeah, that's definitely like our soul tribe, or the people that are lateral to us, right? Lateral next to, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
lateral. And, you know, not people that, you know, we have to leave behind, but they'll eventually catch up as long as they do the work. And I think the codependency thing is a huge thing because we have to get through it on our own. And when we're I think you were talking with Erica about just being alone and being silent. And that's really how you can connect to source, connect to God, connect to the universe, the energies, and get the messages. So I think the codependency is such a huge thing. And building your soul tribe, you guys can help one another, but you have to do the work yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, it isn't, I think we're learning too what that looks like, that, you know, we can be independently working on our own healing path and be doing it in a community, in a very supportive way without being codependent.
Yeah.
I think that's a new pattern of being that we're all discovering, because I think a lot of us have natural patterns inside of that, especially light workers, you know, the servers. We're out to heal the world, you know, and save people along the way. And we can't save anyone. You know, we're simply a bridge. We're a bridge of light to help people get to another place, see things in a new way, learn new patterns of being, but ultimately the work has to be done inside of their own way, their own path, their own choices. And you know, finding these communities where you truly are finding other people that are holding space for you
Yes.
and lifting you up, absent of that need to attack each other. You know, it's like, well, there is no such thing as a pie anymore. You know, it's like, I'm not after my piece of the pie anymore. Now everybody's baking their own pies. There's plenty to go around here. Have some of mine. I'll take some of yours. You know, it's become this
Abundance. Yeah.
really beautiful, beautiful thing that is being birthed. And it gives me a lot of hope for what's to come for the collective. If we're getting a glimpse of it now inside of our little soul tribes, then that means it's happening.
Yeah.
So I know you had asked me, I got out a card deck. This card deck was actually recommended by my friend Amy Ippolito. I know it's backwards on
Yes,
camera.
it's fine.
Um, it's called the Secret Language of Light,
Yeah.
Transmissions from Your Soul. And so I wanted to just pick a message for everybody that's tuning in, of kind of where to put our focus over the next couple of weeks as we're setting our intentions to move into 2021.
Yes.
You know, encouraging everybody to just be in the moment. You know, I mean, this is a time when stress can tend to take over, and you know, with the busyness of the holidays and trying to get everything in before time off, and you know, and just allowing yourself to kind of settle into this energy that's coming in,
Yes.
and be in your bodies. And you know, everyone's talking about escaping 2020. Well, you know, I hate to break it to you, but we're bringing 2020 with us into 2021. It's inevitable,
Yes.
because the gifts that we have discovered in 2020 is what is going to be the catalyst for change in 2021. Again, we're back in the theme of, you can't ignore the shadow work. You
Yes.
cannot ignore the challenges. You can't not have both. And so it's all the work that we've been doing over this last year that's going to bring us into the transformational phase that will be 2021.
Yes. And
Um,
quick question before you pull any cards, do you have any like tips or tricks or tools that people could use to start doing the shadow work? What do you recommend, like whether that's meditation? Because I feel like, you know, what do you recommend? Because I think that's a big one.
well, I do recommend some sort of therapy support. So having someone that can help anchor that space for you. That is, I mean, there's all different kinds of therapy to go through. You know, I mean, there's the traditional talk therapy. There's acupuncture. There's energy therapy. There's, you know, I mean, there's all different kinds of ways that you can anchor this energy for yourself. But
Yeah.
I do recommend having someone that can be somewhat of a lifeline for you as you descend, because that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
In order to, you've got to anchor into that descent, which means feeling your feelings. And that's where people normally run. They don't want to go there. They don't want to feel those feelings. There
Mm-hmm.
is this fear that if they pop the cork on that bottle, that they'll never come out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if I let myself go there, I might never get out again.
Yes. Yeah.
And so having someone like a life coach or a therapist or a spiritual counselor or somebody that can be there to hold space for you as you descend, because they're going to be there to continuously say to you, like, you're okay. I'm still here. You're good.
Yeah.
You're alive. You're doing okay. Because there are moments inside of that where true death comes. I mean, there are parts of ourselves, our identities, our stories, our belief systems, our truths die.
Yeah.
And our ego experiences that as a physical death.
Mm-hmm.
Our body is like,
The
holy shit, if
grief.
I don't get out of
Yeah.
this right
And
now, I'm
depression.
going to die. I'm
Yes.
going to die.
Oh yeah,
And
I've
so,
been there. The dark night of the soul.
oh
Where
yeah.
you, and then that's kind of where you have like a mini awakening. But yeah, I'm really grateful to have someone like you, and you know, to continue working with you moving forward, as a spiritual advisor, and you guys as well. Please reach out to Jenny and try to work with her because you give like the resources and like the bringing me more self-awareness of, oh, you're empathic, you're this, you're that, how to use those tools to continue to heal.
Yeah, and I mean, there's resources like this, where there's the content is everywhere for you to tune in, listen to podcasts, listen to these lives, listen to meditations, finding a voice that you really resonate with and that speaks to your soul, because there's a lot of people out there right now all saying the same thing, but you've got to figure out who you resonate with. And this is why there's no such thing as the pie, right? Because we all have gifts that need to be expressed, and there is an audience for our voice. This is how it is. So it doesn't matter how many people are saying the same thing. You're going to have different audiences that are tuning in based on your style, your vibration, all of those things.
Yeah.
And so find someone that vibrates with you and that you really, really resonate with, and listen to their words and go to them to bolster you. Go to them as your lifeline. Listen to their messages from spirit. This is what gets me through day to day. I have a couple of people that I'm always listening to. And then I've got my tribe of other angels that I go to, and my physical angels that are here in this realm, that keep me going when I'm in, no one is immune to this. Nobody. Like, we're all we're going into times where even those who are awake and well-grounded and have all the tools in the world, we're still going to be really vulnerable and we're still going to fall down. And it's having those people around us that are there to help in those moments. So you can feel safe being vulnerable and safe being authentic, and not having to put the face on anymore. Not having to feel like you have to wear a mask and play a role that no longer fits you.
Yeah.
So, this is, I can't say there's any right way or any one way to go into shadow work. I think it's making sure you've got your support team in place and to start finding some tools, because it is really just allowing those walls to come down and for you to go there.
Yeah.
Let yourself fall apart, because this is where the phoenix rises.
Yeah, and listening to your gut feeling and the intuition. I feel like we all have the answers we need. So I'm excited to see what message comes out.
Okay, so there are 2 cards that actually popped out of the deck on their own, and then one that I just chose. So the 2 cards that actually popped out together are Light Beings and Soul Family. So kind of the same.
That's
we're talking
exactly
about
what
the support team, right? We're talking about the team. So Light Beings. So this is interesting because we've got a card that shows our cosmos, right? We've got our galaxy there, and so light beings. This is other dimensions, other realms. And I find this card very humorous because the universe has a very funny sense of humor. Sometimes spirit likes to throw little jokes out. But what's one of the other themes that the spiritual community has been talking about, astrologers have been talking about? Aliens, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And so, we're all kind of like sitting and thinking to ourselves, like, okay, well, when is that happening? Because this would be the time, so we're looking at the support from our celestial family for sure. We're looking at the support from our soul family, which is our light-based tribe here. So here again, we're seeing this community, this thread of community that we're being encouraged to go into, to not feel separated anymore, not feel alone, not isolating ourselves. We aren't meant to be alone. We are social creatures. We need community. You go back to the beginning of humanity, it was all small tribes. And now we're getting back to that. We're getting back to the small tribes. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's been to tie in to our core family, our core unit, our pod. That's what people are calling it, your pod, of like, who's in my pod and who do I feel safe with? And so we're really being shown that we are not alone in this. And the earth too. The earth is not all by itself out there. We have guardians of our planets that are coming in to help and support our process in this ascension. Even
Yeah.
though we might not understand it, completely, and we can't really see too far ahead, knowing that we are fully supported on the other side, out in our solar system and in our universe, here inside of our communities. And that if you haven't found your tribe yet, start reaching out, because they are out there. And this is the time where the
Yeah.
networks are open and ready to be locked in.
Yes.
The other card that popped out is Soulcraft. So I wanted to read this one
Okay.
from the little book. We'll read this message. Soulcraft. Life happens from you, not to you. Well, that's a shadow statement if I've ever heard one, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're getting out of those victim vibrations,
Yeah. Have to.
where things aren't happening to us.
And take
So
responsibility.
life happens from you, not to you. The thoughts, ideas, and topics you incessantly discuss are crafting your life. So focus on ones that make your heart smile. You are ready to receive answers from your soul about any topics, thoughts, or ideas you want to change. Be wise in your crafting, and the path of least resistance will call you. Different soul vibrations will inspire different actions. If you are feeling tired, your inspired action will be to rest or sleep. If you are feeling love, you will be inspired to do things that emulate love in your day. We all sense with our soul, but often override it with the rational mind. Trust your soul is bringing you to the most up-to-date information. So the meditation for crafting your life: take a deep breath, place both hands on your heart. Move your awareness to a place in you that feels balanced and soft. As you breathe out, let go of any resistance in your body and mind, anything that feels hard. Focus on your breathing until your whole body feels soft and relaxed. Take as long as you like. Focus on what you are feeling, and know that you can control how you feel by focusing on the softness within you and within the feeling. If you find yourself being distracted by the outside world or by your thoughts, gently bring yourself back to your breath and your soft inner world. Float in this space for a moment or two. Allow your soul to reveal your highest, most loving, fun, exciting, abundant way to be in this world. When you finally feel ready, open your eyes and know how special you are to your soul and to the universe. That's beautiful.
Wow. I feel like those angel cards, they just encompassed everything that we were talking about, from the soul
Mm-hmm.
tribe to the shadow work to being still, being with yourself, listening to your gut feeling, listening to your intuition and doing what needs to be done, to just ascend and to make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's true. I was actually just talking with someone else about that exact topic about, she said, well, what's your advice? I said, watch where your focus is. What are you focusing on?
Yeah.
Where are your thoughts going? Because that's what's going to create more in your life. And whatever it is that you focus on, more of that will come.
Yeah.
And so, I think that some of us are in a really low place right now, and that might be difficult. In some of my previous podcasts, I've given some gratitude exercises and, things like that. Gratitude exercises are one of the fastest things you can do to bring yourself into a higher vibration,
Mm-hmm.
where you're literally counting your blessings. You know, being able to at least move into a place where you can become conscious of the conversations you're having with yourself. Are you giving up into the story that you are the victim, or are you starting to shift your attention more to life is mirroring at me through these challenges, the things that I need to work on? And you have the power to make that change, as long as you can see what direction you want to go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a big, profound movement. It can be tiny steps. you know, very, very simple steps that can make big changes.
Yeah, even
And
like you
so,
said, the breath work, you know, gratitude, journaling, meditating. But yeah. Well, thank
so
you, Jenny. Yes, thank you so much. I'm sorry that, this, I just feel like, the energy is definitely off for me today. And then, the technical difficulties, but I'm so grateful that you came on to share this message. And, and even now, like when I get off, I'm going to have to do some work, meditation, breath work, or whatever to get myself more in alignment. Cause, I'm thankful I have the tools and people like you that help and give, advice on what to do in moments where you just feel a little off. And, again, it's working with the energy of the universe instead of against it, and just being aware and open to it. So I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much. And
well, thanks, Patty. Thanks for thinking of me and
of
having me
course,
on.
my soul
My
tribe. I'm so
pleasure.
so grateful for my soul tribe. And I'm actually, Erica's coming on later.
I know, I saw that. I can't wait to tune in
Yes.
and watch you guys later.
Yeah.
So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy
Thank
winter
you.
solstice and great conjunction.
Yes, and I will be
And I'm
seeing
sure
you
we'll be in
soon.
touch.
And where can people find you? How can people work with you and book you? And I know you're doing virtual and in person
Yes, I'm
sessions.
doing both. My one-on-one sessions can be via Zoom or phone or in person. I am on Long Island. I do have people that come from, Connecticut and Jersey and different places too. But now that we all have, kind of gotten used to Planet Zoom, that's an option as well.
Which is just
You
as
can
good.
find
Yeah.
me on social media, Facebook and Instagram, both. I'm Jenny Israel, CPC. So you can find me there. I do my podcasts are there. I do IGTV live too if you're looking for content.
Yes.
My podcast is called Soul Speak with Jenny Israel. You can also find me on YouTube, the same handle. You can also find me on my website, which is jennyisrael.com. If you want to reach out to make an appointment or see my class schedule for Seraphim Blueprint.
Excellent. And yeah, if you guys are looking for what are the first steps to take, just watching all of your content, like you said, your YouTube, your IGTV, your podcast is a step one, because just for what you share there, all that free content, it does give you the tools to start the healing journey. And then I love how you say like maintenance. You do like maintenance sessions where you could do one-on-one every few months with you. And so yeah, I would definitely, for people that always ask me, I always refer you or anyone in my spiritual soul tribe to just get acquainted with spirituality and energy healing. And Jenny's also a medical intuitive. That's how I first met you, through my doctor, Crystal
Mhm.
Blanche, and spiritual healer and spiritual coach. And I'm looking forward to working with you in the near future. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much. I'm
You're
sorry that
welcome.
the energy
Yeah.
was all over the place, but
Ah,
I know
and we
I
used to it at this point. Never know what to expect and just kind of roll with it. I always trust that it's going to work out the way it's supposed to. So
yes, everything does. Okay, well, thank you so much, and I'm excited to have
thanks,
you back
Kathy.
on soon.
Yeah, and I'll be tuning in tonight. So enjoy the rest
Yes,
of
it'll be a lot better tonight. I gotta go meditate.
All right, girl.
We'll talk. Thank you. Love you.
I'll talk to you
Bye.
soon.
Bye. Thank you.